Welcome back to the Stargazers channel, everyone. We're here for another deep dive into the best jobs for each zodiac sign.
That's right.
And today, we're turning our focus to the Chinese zodiac sign of the rabbit.
A really interesting sign.
Definitely. We've pulled together some astrological insights to explore, which careers and fields might really click with the rabbit's nature. Hopefully give you some things to think about for professional paths.
And we'll sprinkle in some general tips too for good fortune, maybe mention a few famous rabbits along the way.
Sounds good. So the rabbit, what's the core essence there, astrologically speaking?
Well, what consistently comes up is this gentleness, kindness, optimism. That's really central.
Okay.
And it's often paired with this desire for like an ideal life, a free lifestyle. They don't tend to like feeling restricted.
Right, that makes sense. Freedom and maybe tranquility, but it's not just about taking it easy, is it?
No, not at all. Our readings also point to a real seriousness when it comes to work.
Oh.
Yeah, and often they have these great creative ideas, things that bring them comfort,
Huh.
But there's a little caveat sometimes.
What's that?
Well, the practical side, the actual doing, might need a bit more conscious effort. It doesn't always come as naturally as the big ideas.
Interesting. So like great visionaries, but maybe need help with the step-by-step execution.
Exactly. Or they just need to put in that extra work themselves to bridge the gap. So jobs needing super detailed practical steps might be, well, more of a challenge initially.
Gotcha. And this independent streak,
Yeah.
does that play into how they see themselves? I think I saw something about self-belief.
Yes, definitely. Rabbits tend to trust their own judgment quite a bit,
Right.
which is great. But, well, sometimes it can lean towards being a bit possessive, maybe using their influence, their network, which they often have, to push their own goals.
Ah, I see. And that could potentially create some friction in a team environment, put pressure on colleagues.
It could, yeah. That's why the astrological advice often includes, learning to share ideas more openly, really listening to what others think.
Makes sense.
And also, that point about self-reflection, before maybe blaming a supervisor if things feel tough, that's important too. Looking inward first.
Good advice for anyone, really.
Yeah.
So let's talk specific jobs. The list we looked at mentioned farmer, breeder, teacher, priest, pharmacist, even police and judge. That's quite a mix.
It is diverse, isn't it? But if you look through the rabbit lens, that gentleness, that nurturing side, teacher, priest, pharmacist seem like a natural fit.
Okay, yeah, I see that. What about farmer or breeder?
That could tap into their desire for like a connection with nature, maybe a more peaceful rhythm, less corporate restraint, perhaps.
Then police or judge. That seems a bit different.
Maybe less obvious, but it could align with their serious approach to duty, that sense of fairness. Though, like we said, handling the inherent pressures would be key.
Right. Okay, so digging deeper, the sources mention specific fields. First up, jobs requiring a sharp sense of art.
Yes. This links perfectly to that creative spark we talked about. Their artistic sense is often quite strong.
So things like literature, fine arts, architecture, music.
Exactly. Areas where they can really channel that creativity and, honestly, often find a lot of success and satisfaction. It's creativity often grounded in a sort of sensible life view, too.
Okay, grounded creativity. I like that. What's next?
Jobs requiring carefulness. This plays into that area where they might need to focus a bit more of the practical detail.
So roles like consultant, business consultant, translator, quality inspector, jobs needing meticulous attention.
Precisely. They have the capacity for careful observation for analysis. If they channel it, these roles demand that precision.
So it's a potential strength they can develop.
I think so, yes. And it shows versatility too. Business, language, quality control.
Okay, and the third area was jobs requiring social relationships. Now this seems interesting given the self-belief point earlier.
It is, but it highlights another side. They often have kind of innocent thoughts, and they're actually quite good at building relationships. Their networks can be surprisingly wide.
Really? Like all sorts of people?
Yeah, high-ranking officials, ordinary folks.
Yeah.
They connect across the board. This makes them potentially great at things like crisis communication, for example.
Wow, okay. Using that network and maybe a disarming approach.
Exactly. They can be decision makers too, but the advice often adds, get a reliable friend or advisor for strategy. Acknowledge the vision, but get that practical backup.
That practical element again. Okay, what about jobs to maybe steer clear of?
Generally, the advice is to be cautious with highly competitive fields, especially if it's just about personal gain. Things like, say, politics or maybe very cutthroat business roles.
Because of the pressure or the potential conflict.
Probably a mix of both. It might clash with that desire for harmony. Also, heavy manual labor isn't usually their strong suit.
Right.
And jobs needing super long periods of unbroken, intense focus might also be draining for them.
Okay, that paints a clearer picture. Let's talk teamwork. Who do rabbits work best with, according to the Zodiac?
The best partners are said to be the dog, the pig, and the sheep. Working with these signs can apparently give their career a real boost.
Why those signs, do you think? What's the synergy?
Well, think about it. Dogs are loyal, pigs diligent, sheep creative and collaborative. They likely bring complementary energies, balance, maybe practical support, trust, stuff like that.
Nice. Okay, then there are good partners, tiger and dragon, but with a condition.
Yeah, this is interesting. The advice is to also have one of those best partners, dog, pig, sheep involved, if you're working with a tiger or dragon.
Huh, why is that?
Well, tigers and dragons bring ambition, power, dynamism, which is great, but maybe a bit intense for the rabbit on its own. The dog, pig, or sheep might provide a necessary grounding or balancing influence.
Okay, makes sense. Keep the energy collaborative. And finally, the not bad partners.
That's rat, ox, snake, horse, monkey, and rooster. The vibe might be harmonious, pleasant enough, but maybe not super productive in terms of like major breakthroughs or seamless cooperation. Pleasant, but perhaps not the most dynamic pairings for big career goals.
Gotcha. So, helpful to know who might bring out the best collaboration. Now let's talk famous rabbits. It helps make it real. Jeff Bezos, born 1964.
Right. Founder of Amazon Blue Origin, owner of the Washington Post, hugely successful.
Which is interesting given the advice about avoiding super competitive business.
It is. It shows that these are general guidelines, not rigid rules. Perhaps his visionary creativity, that rabbit trait, and maybe his ability to build a massive network outweighed the competitive aspect. Or he found ways to navigate it.
True, individual charts are complex. And what about Michael Jordan, 1963? An icon.
Absolutely. One of the greatest athletes ever. Fiercely competitive, obviously, in a very physical sport.
Yeah, again, seems to contradict the advice a bit.
It does on the surface, but maybe you could see his almost artistic mastery of the game, his global connection. Perhaps those aspects resonated with the rabbit potential in a unique way. His dedication was immense.
Good point. Yeah. Talent and dedication can carve unique paths. This has been really fascinating looking at the rabbit's world of work.
It really has. Lots of nuances.
So, for everyone listening on the Stargazers channel, we hope this deep dive gave you some valuable food for thought, especially if you're a rabbit or work with one.
Definitely. And remember, these are general tendencies. Your own unique talents, your passions, your experiences, those are always the most important factors.
Absolutely.
Maybe just think about those core rabbit qualities. The gentleness, the optimism, the creativity, how could you use those, whatever your sign or period? And reflecting on collaboration, strengths, weaknesses, always useful stuff.
So true. And if you do want that deeper personalized look based on your specific birth chart, we've got a link in the description you can follow for more detailed astrological reading.
Great suggestion.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on the Stargazers channel. It's been great exploring the rabbit today.
My pleasure. Always interesting.
We look forward to exploring more zodiac wisdom with you all next time.